going to be all about. I'll take you through a little bit about Franchise India, what we are as a company. We'll talk about franchise and industry. And finally, I like to talk about the important assessment tools any franchise or a prospective franchise entrepreneur should take into consideration before starting a business. And friends, my request to all of you would also be to make this webinar engaging. Any questions that you have, please use the Q&A box to write your questions. I'll be happy to answer any queries that you might have. And I also understand as you come on this webinar, there might be certain opportunities that you're already exploring, or maybe you've reached out to, but it might be overwhelming with the kind of information today that is available. So I'll be happy to answer anything live on this platform. And you can also reach out on the hotline number of Franchise India or the email ID. I'll be happy to put that shortly in the Q&A box. And so starting with Franchise India, like I said, we work with aspiring entrepreneurs like yourself, and we work with you to help in taking this important decision of your lifetime. And today, millions of business buyers have trusted the platform of Franchise India to research various opportunities, whether that's an Indian company, a local brand, a unit franchisee, international company, or a master franchisee of many international brands. And I would say we had the privilege of working with millions of investors in the last 27 years of our own existence, where we worked with them and gave them guided solutions. We combined our industry knowledge, our validated learning, our experience that we gathered over the years, and helped our business buyers through the entire process of buying a business. So if I talk about franchising as an industry, it creates a lot of intelligence synergies, because you bring in the combined strength, which is combined strength of you as an entrepreneur or a franchisee, as I might want to call. And equally, it also brings in the strength of the brand, who also brings in their brand equity, their systems, processes, and transfers that to a franchisee. But at the same time, it is also important to understand there might be many opportunities that come your way, and there are many industries and many brands from India, overseas, international brands coming to the Indian market. There's a very holistic view which the companies take, the franchises take, and equally, I would say any franchisee should undertake before investing in an opportunity, which includes a very integrated approach of your own interest, the experience that you carry, the finances that you have to invest in the business, the time that you have, most importantly, to put in the business, the risk involved in the business. And at the same time, the franchisor, the brand, is also finding the right fitment, the qualification. And this is because the success, failure of any business is also directly impacting the brand, the goodwill, their business, their image. And there are few requirements which the companies also undertake to select a franchisee, and it can be different for different companies. So when we look at opportunity in franchising, this is very big because the industry is big. And if you look at globally, the size of this industry is almost about $4.7 trillion, which is much bigger than the Indian GDP. Today, India is the second largest franchise market in the world after America. And we are seeing a very big growth of first-time entrepreneurs. 27 years back, when we started our business and the journey in franchising, this community of business buyers contributed only 10%, which means that out of 100 people buying a business, only 10% people came as first-time business buyers. Today, the first-time business buyer community in India and also globally is becoming very, very big. In India, this is close to 60% now, which means out of 100 people buying businesses, 60% people are buying business for the first time ever in their life. So the complexities can be big when you get into the business for the first time. Now, when we look at the opportunity with respect to franchising, you all would agree consumption story in India is very, very interesting. It is very big. Nearly 70% of our India GDP is driven by domestic consumption. And domestic consumption is something which drives economies across the globe. And even if you compare that with economies like China, which contributes only 53%, India is very, very high, which is 70% of our GDP is driven by domestic consumption. And if we look at how people are consuming today, our consumption cycles are changing. We were comparatively low per capita in a lot of categories, maybe 10 years back, 20 years back, and still continue to in many other categories. But all our consumption cycles are evolving, they're changing and progressing. And the most consumer categories today are becoming 3.5 times larger than what they were in 1990s, which is about 30 years back. Industries like, or categories like even paints, for that example, India is painting more homes and than they were doing 7 years back. They're consuming more shoes or footwear than they were consuming maybe 10 years back. We are consuming more food from outside than we were doing even 5 years back. And the other trend, which is very interesting, while all that consumption is happening, there is also formalization of that consumption, which means that people are consuming from a formalized environment, which means we are becoming more brand conscious. And you can see all that consumption around you, the schools that our children are going to the salons that we go to, the gym that we go to the pharmacy that we go to the hotels, the five-star hotels like Marriott's and all the Indian international chains that you see around, all are franchising today. So irrespective of the industry and the category today, every single consumption that we're doing in the organized environment is coming from a franchise business, which makes this industry very, very big. And since the consumption is becoming bigger and larger part of the consumption is becoming organized, coming from brands, the opportunity in franchising becomes even more interesting. Now, let me come back to what we do as a company. So we are a 27-year-old enterprise, and we work with prospective business buyers like yourself, the first-time business buyers, and we work with large spectrum of investors. And some of you might be first-time in business. We also work with a lot of family offices who want to invest in bigger businesses. We work with HNIs who wants to take international brand master franchisees, ultra HNIs. And on the other side, we also work with the entire community, so to say. And the other side is the community of franchisors or the brand. And these companies are Indian companies. These are international brands who want to come to India. And I would say we had the privilege and we work with some of the top names in the industry in India and global companies like Reliance, companies like Tata, Adani, a lot of startups, a lot of unicorns today, which are starting their franchise journey. These are some of the companies that we work very, very closely with. And as a company, we have also been instrumental in bringing more than 500 companies to the Indian market. As I speak, Franchise India is also a master franchisee of more than 32 international opportunities from across the globe, which includes companies from US, which includes companies from UK, Singapore, Malaysia, a lot of Asian countries. And because we feel these industries and these categories are becoming very, very interesting in India, we ourselves have taken the opportunity to become their Indian partners and bring that brand to the territory. At the same time, we also understand that as a consultant, we carry very big responsibility in helping a potential business buyer like you to make a right decision of investing in a business. And more importantly, I would say an informed decision of buying a business. And while it may look that it becomes difficult to bring absolute accuracy in bringing the right fitment in terms of the choice of the brand, the expectations you have from the opportunity, the commercial terms which are involved, but with a carefully crafted methodology, we bring the best possible match for prospective business buyer. And we have a big team across India. Today, Franchise India, along with our group companies, which is Fran Global, which is the market entry arm present in 11 countries across the globe. We are there in 97 cities in India and 11 countries outside India. And all our consultants take a very holistic approach on the ROI, how the industry is growing, the performance of the brand in the past few years, predictability of the cash flows, the margins, and the biggest emphasis that we do is on reduction of the risk in the investment, which comes with a combination of your initial investment, CAPEX planning, your forecast on the operational expenses, the competition analysis, the support that you get from the brand. The trademark, the IP, the legal terms, exit, all that is something which is taken into consideration by our teams across India when they advise you on selecting a business. Now, I'll talk about, what is important, because today when you look around, including the website of Franchise India, there are more than 16,000 companies which are there who are represented on the website, putting their business opportunity, including all the top names that I talked about, a lot of startups which come in, a lot of, I would say, local regional brands who are looking at franchising, a lot of family businesses which are looking to franchise. And equally, there are more than 300 plus international brands where Franchise India have an exclusive mandate to represent them in India and some international markets. But what I understand and I observe is there's a lot of information that you see in all these platforms put together, our own platforms. Every day there's a new opportunity that we bring through our webinars. And this information might be overwhelming for somebody to take and decide. And this is something I come across every time I speak to an investor. So what we have done is we've created a very interesting structure, or I would say an assessment tool, which makes it easy for any prospective buyer to make that investment comparatively easy. And this is also an assessment tool or a test that we do at our end. And the entire process is followed by a team of consultants when they advise you on that business opportunity. Now, before I get there, I'll also like to ask a few questions from you, friends. And if you can just tell me a little bit about yourself, what city that you come from. You can mention that in the Q&A box. I'd like to also know if you are already exploring or already running a franchise business. That should be something that I would like to know. And third is your industry of interest. Which industry category are you considering to make that investment in? If you can put that in the a Q&A box. I like to read that along with your name, the city of your interest, if you're already running a franchise business or you're exploring that business, and the industry that you're keen on. If you can just use the Q&A box, write these, I'll be happy to take that right away. And while I wait for you to put that, I'll also quickly go through these 5 assessment tools for each one of you. And under these assessment tools, we've also created 25 important, I would say, dimensions or aspects where you should evaluate, how to select the right opportunity. And the 4 broader assessment tools include your own self-assessment. The second is the industry that you want to get in. The third is the market assessment, the market where you want to open the business. And more importantly, the market, which is micro market, where you want to open. Fourth is a competition that is similar to the industry category that you're considering in the market. And lastly is the brand that you want to select. So these are 5 assessment tools that we advise every business buyer. And this is the foundation that can assist you evaluate at your level of fitment. So when we want to start a business, the risks can be many. There are a lot of expectations which are attached from a business and which some of these are realistic expectations. We should, and more importantly, your own self-assessment can also help you understand the differentiation you as an entrepreneur bring to that business. Now, the risk involved can also be many, which could be a wrong location. The industry that you choose is not right for the market that you've chosen. The brand that you've chosen might not be right. At Franchise India, we receive more than 1 lakh inquiries every single month. And that's not a small number. We've been there in the industry for the last 2.5 decades. Every single month, there are more than 1 lakh people who are looking to start a business. But all these 1 lakh people convert and they all buy business. The answer is no. Why? Because of the risk, the uncertainty of the business, which also includes a lot of insecurity and the fear of doing something wrong. Now, just to start with assessment, I personally feel the most valuable tool for any aspiring entrepreneur is the self-assessment that you need to undertake. Evaluate your own personal traits, the business skills, the experience, the knowledge, the investment appetite, and the ability to meet the challenges and the risk which business can perhaps pose. So this stage, what you need to do is undertake a self-discovery, and I would say be very, very honest about it. Know your strength, understand the weaknesses that you have as an individual, as an entrepreneur, and write them and define them, and try to overcome these weaknesses. You might be strong in certain areas, and some areas might not be very strong with you. It could be finance, it could be operations, it could be customer acquisition, but somebody who's your partner or somebody who's part of your inner circle can overtake that weakness. So get right people to manage that business along with you. Delegation also when it comes to franchisee is important, but we always advise unless you have yourself done the training and mastered the entire process as a franchise owner yourself, don't delegate to your team and the staff down the line. Now, the other aspects when you talk about self-assessment is also to understand your financial goals. You need to align your investment with your life goals and your business goals. The rule that I always advise is to follow the 3 things. One is the timeline to achieve that financial goal. Second is you need to understand the return on the investment that you expect. And equally important is to understand the risk involved in the business. So timeline to achieve the financial goal, and the risk involved in the business and the return that you expect from the business. Now, let me explain that through some fundamental examples of different asset classes, so to say. If you look at any investment type or asset class, they can be categorized into three fundamental goals, which is safety. You want your money to be safe. One is income, and the third is growth. So based on your investment goal, your returns are very, very different and very proportionate. So which means based on the investment goals, the risk that you carry would be very, very different. So if you're looking at safety as your fundamental goal, which means that you're looking at low risk and low returns, right? If you're looking at income, you would have moderate risk, moderate return. If you're looking at growth as a business opportunity investment, then the business would carry little high risk, but equally rewarding returns. And the third area I would like to talk under self-assessment is also the capital that you bring in, funding the business. How do you want to bring in? You want to bring in your own savings. You want to take a loan. So how do you want to finance your business is something very, very important. And sometimes entrepreneurs I see put too much of risk where they have a small investment, but they take too much of, loan. And especially for the first time business buyers, my advice is always to be very, very conservative. While the thumb rule says bring in 50-50, if you want to make an investment, bring in 50% minimum of your own equity and 50% you can take softer loans. But if an investment is anything which is less than, I would say, 30 lakhs, 35 lakhs or 40 lakhs, then try to bring in a larger equity, which is at least 70% of the investment you fund. And then 30% can be softer loans, because the biggest reason for any financial business failure is financial mismanagement. And the second thing which I want to touch upon is also the industry assessment, because the choice, the industry is very important, and anything which is performing may not always work for you. There are a lot of industries today, and I don't say one over the other. All these industries are good. We have seen successful business operating under all these industries and categories, but all that would not work for your scheme of things. So do your research, and our consultants are also trained to work with you to help you narrow down on these industries. Don't jump into conclusions of what kind of opportunity that you want to get and what brand you want to take. Unit franchise, you are a multi-unit or area franchisees. Some industries are high gestation life cycle, which can also be the nature of the business. And some might have a low gestation cycle. So depending on your time horizon, the risk and the reward that you expect, your choice should reflect that. You should second understand how big is the overall addressable market in that industry, which means how big that opportunity is. Is it overcrowded? Is it commoditized? Can you as a business owner have the first mover advantage in the industry? The third area that you should understand is the growth prospect on that industry. But because when we make an investment, we're looking at time horizon for years. We're not looking for a month or a year, but it is beyond 5 years, 10 years. In certain industries, it can be 15, 20 years. There are businesses like K-12 school, hotels, which requires a bigger investment, but equally the growth prospect is high. We have not seen K-12 schools closing in 5 years. The schools that we have passed out still exist and they're operating. So understand how future fit that industry is. And finally, I would also recommend that you understand the innovation that particular industry, that brand is bringing in. Because any business which is not relevant today does not sustain over a period of time. The third area is understand the market where you want to open the business. And when I say market, while you understand the macro dynamics of the market, but more importantly, look at the micro dynamics, which is the local competition in the market, the rentals in the market, what is the need gap in the market, which involves understanding of maybe the current brands which are existing in the market, what services, products which are being offered by them. Is there a gap which can be kind of fixed by the opportunity that you have selected? Understand who your target audience is, the consumer behavior in the market. Another two important elements are the regulations, which are very important when you determine the industry and the market you want to get in. And these regulations could be the food license, the drug license that you need for a pharmacy, the liquor license policies of your state, because these are all regulations which are subject for center as well as the state. Understand what the guidelines, regulations on these industries are in your state. And finally, understand the real estate, what locations would that kind of business work the best. And the thumb rule that we follow here is to understand who are my top competition. When I say top competition, not necessarily who's the top competition at the national level, but at the local level, who's my competition, right? How many locations are they running? What markets, what spots in that market are they running? For example, there are three top competitions that you figure out are running in your market. And out of these three competition, understand which are the top performing locations for them. So when you take a location next to them, your probability of opening a successful venture would be much higher. And then comes your competition assessment, which includes the advantage that you have over the competition, which can include things like the brand penetration, how the brand has performed over a period of time, understand the offering the competition have, what kind of product differentiation your particular brand brings in versus the competition in the market. And lastly is the barrier to entry, which means barrier to entry are the obstacles or hindrances, I would say, that make it difficult for a new company to enter a given market, which can include tech challenges, which can include government regulations, which can include patents, licensing requirements. So these are some, I would say, tools that you should consider when you look at competition assessment. And finally comes the brand that you want to take. Now, coming to brand assessment, I would say not all franchisors are same. So you need to do a research and get to know everything you can about that particular business, the franchise or the brand, which includes things such as how long the company has been in the business, what is the average success rate, and how long do franchisees stay on an average in their system. And and there's some other important elements, which includes the people, the commitment of the company, I would say the management, the leadership of the company, the credibility of the brand. The second important area is to also understand, if the company is process oriented, because franchising is all about replicating success. So which means unless the company has their systems and processes written down in form of SOPs, one cannot bring in operational efficiencies in the business, because if there lack of operational efficiencies, one cannot scale, one cannot replicate the success. You will have a lot of deviations from what the brand is doing. So ensure that company trains you all on these SOPs. And the third area is to understand not only the initial investment that you're bringing in, but also to understand what are your operating expenses, right? Which include your salaries, your cost of the material, which could be cost of food, cost of the inventory, the margins that you get. The fourth is your legal agreement with the company, because in India, we work on a British contract. So everything which is put in the contract becomes a binding between the partners. So what are the terms of the agreement? And we have a separate team, which is Fran Legal at Franchise India, which also works with the companies, the brands, and also the franchisees to help them bridge any gap in these agreements. What are your conflict resolution clauses in the agreement? These are very, very important. Then comes the training and the marketing support which the company offers you. So these are some important considerations that we advise every prospective business buyer to consider before they invest in any opportunity. And at Franchise India, we follow a three-stage process to guide you through all these 5 assessment tools, which start with our first stage, which is information, goes to evaluation. Third stage is signing and negotiation, and then finally signing. So at the information stage, we understand your profile, your mindset. We understand the industry that you want to get in based on the dynamics that I've talked about. And then our teams sit down and curate the opportunities which are closest to, fitting you. And maybe we bring 5 opportunities which are closest to your investment, your profiling, the location that you want to get in the market. We also evaluate along with you. So second stage is evaluation, where we organize discovery days. So you, along with our advisors, would visit these companies, maybe tour these outlets, meet the leadership, management of these companies, speak to the existing franchisees. And based on the evaluation, the final is negotiation. If you select any of these opportunities, we help you sign the LOI. And for reasons of the opportunities that you come across, you do not like these opportunities, we don't go ahead. Then our team works again, find relevant opportunities, and comes back to you until the time that we have selected the opportunity which is closest to what fits. And then we help you sign the LOI followed by the agreement. So these are 4 stages. Our teams actually work with you in end-to-end process. Having said that, I'll also like to say that at Franchise India, we give you entire information. But the responsibility at our end is to equip you, help you take an informed decision. The decision is something which is taken by you. So the responsibility that lies with us is to, offer you all our validated learning over the years, to give you analytics on the brand, so that you're equipped to take that decision. So, all right. So friends, what I'll do is, I think I see some questions which have come in, and I will also like to, leave our hotline number. It is 9717-683838. This is the hotline number. You can WhatsApp on this number, and I will also leave an email ID, which is feedback@franchiseindia.in. For any inquiries that you have, you can reach out to us. And depending on the city that you are in, I'll also be happy to have one of our team members, meet with you. You can fix up an appointment with our teams. We are present in 90 plus cities in India. And thank you so much, Mr. Roy. Let me read that out. I'm in the service industry and a marketing professional for more than 3 decades now. My company, you've put your company's name, wonderful. I'll absolutely Google the company name, and I think you've also shared your information with us. I'll definitely go through that, Mr. Roy, and you've also shared our contact details. And I'll request if you can speak post the webinar. And if there's anything I can help you with, friends, please write that in the Q&A box. I'll be happy to answer that. And thank you so much, Ms. Sinha. I see a comment also from Ms. Khushbu Sinha that you are a first-time entrepreneur from Bangalore and you want to do something in the pet product market or the food industry. Khushbu ji, there are many opportunities in both these segments, and there are a lot of companies today, from startups to mature companies. I'll be happy to discuss that one-to-one. And how to take loan? Do I need any set because I don't own a property? We can discuss that one-to-one. And I'll also like to inform everybody who's looking at also financing. Our team at Franchise India can also work with prospective entrepreneurs to assist them in any kind of loan and advise how much loan you should take, and not necessarily need to have an asset to mortgage. We can work that out for you. I'll request if you reach out to us. We'll be happy to get into one-to-one conversation. So friends, thank you so much for being with us today. I've left the details, our email ID and the hotline number. Please feel free to come back to us. Have a great day ahead.